Deuteronomy 5:14b. Ata uvinecha uvetecha v'avdecha v'amatecha v'sharacha v'chomarecha v'chol behemtecha v'gerecha asher bisharecha. This continues the details of the fourth commandment, namely, you shall not do any work. You, or your son, or your daughter, or your slave, or your maidservant, or your ox, or your donkey, or any of your animals. That's actually singular, but maybe it has a plural sense, or any animal. Maybe that's better. Or your residing foreigner who is in your gates. Namely, any that are in your household or your family compound, those residing foreigners that you're responsible for. Here we'll begin with just a little bit of morphological review. And we notice that we have a simple vav in several cases here, vav, shva, placed on the front of several of the elements of this list of the household that is also not to do work. But we notice a couple of differences in the case of uvinecha and uvitecha, that is, or your son or your daughter. Now in this case, we remember the bump rule. When we have a word that begins with beit, mem, or pei, in those cases, the simple vav turns into a shurk, thus the bump rule. Then we also have two cases here with a vav patak. Now in both of these cases, the word begins with a guttural, namely an aleph and a chet, and in both cases there's a composite shva with patak, patak hatuf, under this guttural. So that causes assimilation under the vav, because we can't start a word, for example, with two shvas in a row, even if one's a composite shva. The first one has to be lengthened, but it can't be lengthened to a hirik. In this case, it lengthens to a patak to cause this assimilation, because of this assimilation. Take one other observation here. We notice that this is you, 2ms, our subject pronoun, and then that's complemented by a series of 2ms pronominal suffixes on this entire grocery list. So the you are and everything you're responsible for. The one thing that's very interesting, well, it's not very interesting, but it's mildly interesting here, is here's the only plural. We notice that the yod signals to us that this is plural in your gates. Everything else is in the singular, and it's used in the collective sense. Your daughter, that is, any daughters that you have, and so on. But here we have in the gates, that's plural, so that is everything within inside your household. All must take Sabbath.